Have you ever heard someone say, "The economy grew 5%, you must be richer now"? And then you look at your own life, your bills, your rent, your groceries, and you wonder, did anything really change? Here's a harsh truth. Economic growth doesn't automatically make your life better. Not always. In fact, for most people, it barely touches their reality. It's easy to get fooled by the numbers. GDP is up, stock markets are booming, governments are patting themselves on the back. But if your paycheck hasn't increased, if rent keeps climbing, if prices rise faster than your salary, the headline numbers are meaningless to you. And that's exactly what this video is about. By the end, you'll understand why growth often fails to deliver and what real change looks like. Let's start with a simple metaphor. Imagine the economy as a giant cake. Each year, the cake gets bigger, more production, more money circulating, more goods. On paper, everyone should be enjoying a bigger slice. But here's the catch. The slice you get doesn't always grow with the cake. Some people get bigger slices, some barely get crumbs, and some are left staring at the table wishing they had been invited at all. Take Alex, for example, someone living in a modest apartment. Every day, Alex commutes, works a 9 to 5, and struggles to make ends meet. Meanwhile, somewhere in a skyscraper downtown, executives and investors are celebrating quarterly growth, sipping expensive coffee, and buying stocks. The economy is growing, but Alex's life, it feels stuck. Why does this happen? While GDP, gross domestic product, measures the total value of all goods and services produced, but it says nothing about distribution. A rising number doesn't guarantee that money reaches the people who need it most. And in fact, in many countries, median wages haven't grown in decades, even while GDP soared. Inflation eats up what little gain you might see. Essentials, rent, healthcare, groceries, rise faster than your paycheck. The economy looks healthier, but your wallet doesn't. Let's break it down further. Picture a balloon labeled GDP. As the balloon inflates, expenses, rent, bills, food, sit as a heavy backpack on your shoulders. You're working harder to carry it. The balloon grows, the backpack gets heavier, and even though it looks like everything is expanding, your mobility is limited. You're essentially running in place. And here's something nobody talks about. Growth often favors capital over labor. Companies profit, stockholders benefit, but wages for regular workers stagnate. A CEO might see a 20% bonus, while the person handling the same workload sees a 1% raise or none at all. So while growth headlines make the news, most people feel the opposite. Their lives aren't improving. They're just working more for the same or sometimes even less purchasing power. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine living in a city like New York, London, or Toronto. Your salary goes up 3% this year. Sounds good, right? But rent has increased by 5%, grocery prices by 4%, energy bills by 6%. Suddenly, that raise doesn't buy you extra comfort. You're essentially losing ground despite being told the economy is healthy. And it's not just wages. Access to housing, healthcare, education, all these essential services often fail to keep pace with growth. The rich get access to better schools, better healthcare, better neighborhoods, and their wealth compounds. The middle class? They work longer hours to keep up, constantly stressed, constantly behind. That's why many people feel trapped even when GDP numbers look amazing. But let's not be entirely cynical. Growth itself is not useless. It just doesn't work the way people assume. The key is fairness. Growth is only meaningful if it translates into tangible improvements in people's lives. If wages rise, if healthcare is affordable, if education is accessible, if housing doesn't crush your budget, then yes, the cake grows and everyone gets a slice. Here's a way to visualize it. Imagine a seesaw. On one side, GDP. On the other, personal well-being. If GDP goes up but nothing else changes, the seesaw tilts toward the economy but leaves you stagnant. But if policies, wages, and social services improve alongside growth, the seesaw balances. Suddenly, growth actually feels real. And it's not just a numbers game, it's psychological. When people feel stuck, stressed, or constantly behind, they stop trusting institutions. They become skeptical of government promises and company press releases, and rightfully so. When the world tells you that the economy is thriving, but your rent, bills, and work stress are rising, it feels like a disconnect. Let's look at another example, this time from Germany. Over the last decade, GDP grew steadily, but median wages barely budged. Young adults struggle with high rents and job security. Meanwhile, investors and companies celebrated record profits. People saw the headlines, but they didn't feel richer. This isn't just Europe. It happens in the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK as well. Growth numbers do not automatically translate into a better life. So why do people continue to equate growth with personal prosperity? Partly because it's simple to understand. A rising number looks good. It's easy to point to. But life is complex. Individual well-being doesn't increase just because a macroeconomic indicator rises. And here's the kicker. Sometimes growth can make inequality worse, creating a bigger gap between those at the top and those at the bottom. Now let's imagine a solution. What if the economy grew and wages, healthcare, and housing improved proportionally? What if policies prioritized shared growth? Then that same balloon we talked about wouldn't just inflate, it would lift everyone equally. Suddenly, a rising GDP would mean tangible benefits. People like Alex could actually feel the difference. Visualize a simple classroom with a teacher explaining fairness in growth. The teacher says, growth without fairness is like running on a treadmill. You move but stay in the same place. That's exactly what millions of people experience today. Economic growth exists, but without equity, its benefits remain abstract. And it's not just theory. Countries that implement policies to support wage growth, affordable housing, and healthcare show real improvements in quality of life. People feel less stressed, they have more disposable income, they can invest in education, skills, and opportunities for their children. That's growth that actually matters. Think about families walking through a park. Children laugh, parents feel relaxed, bills are manageable. These are the real markers of economic success, not headlines about GDP growth. Growth should lift people, not just numbers. So the takeaway here is clear. Don't chase GDP as a measure of personal prosperity. GDP growth is important for economies, yes, but it doesn't guarantee better lives for everyone. The focus should be on shared growth, policies that ensure wages, healthcare, housing, and education improve along with the economy. That's how growth becomes meaningful. Now, let's return to Alex. Imagine Alex reflecting on the past year. The economy grew, stock markets boomed, yet daily life felt unchanged. But this time, imagine the government raised minimum wages, stabilized housing costs, and offered better healthcare access. Suddenly, growth isn't just a number. Alex's life improves, stress reduces, opportunities increase. That's the difference between abstract growth and real-life impact. And here's the part that matters most. If you want to see growth that actually benefits you, start asking the right questions. Don't just read headlines. Look at your paycheck, your rent, your healthcare costs. Are they improving alongside the economy? If not, push for policies that ensure fairness. Advocate for wages, for access, for equity. Growth should work for everyone, not just the top 1%. Ask yourself, the next time you hear that the economy grew, did your life grow too? If it didn't, you're not alone. Millions feel the same way. And that's why understanding this is crucial. Economic growth isn't magic. It's not a guarantee of prosperity. It only works when it's shared. Now, you might wonder what personally you can do. Stay informed, engage in discussions about wages and housing, support policies that ensure fair growth, vote, speak up. Even small actions collectively create change. Real growth isn't just numbers, it's people feeling secure, supported, and progressing in their lives. Picture a family finally thriving. Bills are manageable, children are learning in good schools, adults have time to enjoy life, not just work to survive. That's the ultimate goal. Growth that touches lives, not just statistics. So the next time you hear GDP is up, the economy is growing, pause and think, who is really benefiting?
Are you seeing the change in your life? If the answer is no, the system needs adjustment. If the answer is yes, celebrate. It means growth is working as it should. Remember, economic growth alone is not enough. Wages, housing, healthcare, and education must improve alongside it. Otherwise, the numbers may rise, but your life doesn't. Growth should empower you, not leave you behind. And finally, here's a call to action. Stay informed, understand how policies impact your life, and advocate for growth that is truly shared. Discuss these ideas with friends, family, and communities. Growth only matters when it lifts everyone. In short, GDP is a tool, not a life measure. Real prosperity comes from shared growth, fairness, and policies that ensure everyone benefits. Don't be fooled by numbers alone. Look at your life, your paycheck, your opportunities, and demand growth that works for you. Because the truth is simple, the economy grows, but your life grows if growth is fair. Thanks for watching our video. Like and subscribe our channel for more.